Hello. Ho ho ho. It's Hugh Foster on the bass here, currently wearing a stupid hat because it's the season for it. I'm actually recording this on Christmas Eve 2024, and I had the idea to do 5 of my favourite Christmas song basslines. So you're going to hear 5 basslines where I've just honed in on the each section, more or less, of the song. You will find as well that Christmas songs are just weird for some reason. Lots of strange, out there harmony, and also odd time signatures coming up. You're going to hear 5 songs in chronological order, so we're going to start with some classic Motown. Take it away. So let's kick things off today with a bit of classic Motown. This is, well, if it isn't James Jamerson, then it's someone doing a really good impression of him. Fortunately for a Jamerson bass line, the verses are quite straightforward, but it gets a little bit more complicated as we get into the chorus and the bridge. So in the verses, we're going to be doing this unison riff. 3, 4. The only unusual thing is how many repeats. Right, and then going into the chorus, got that nice C sharp leading into a D minor. Classic Jamerson thing of doing, a semitone leading note. Let's have a look at that chorus part now. 3, 4. Repeat that bar. And yeah, some tasty stuff in that part, especially, going across the middle bar of those last 4 bars. Right. Classic Jamerson, but we're not done yet. Let's have a look at the bridge, starting with some really tasty stuff over an F7, or under an F7 rather. But yeah, feels like with Jamerson he's just kind of the loudest thing in the mix, and it's so cool. All right, let's see if I can figure out this bit. 3, 4. And bear with me, turn the page. And then into the new key. With this, it's a lot. Are there any particular bits that are really tricky? Yes. Can I narrow them down? Not really. It's about taking a phrase at a time, really, and being really comfortable with 8th note syncopation, lots of anticipation. I won't go into too much detail because there's a lot to cover and I'm trying to keep this one very brief. But if you are interested in a more in-depth breakdown of James Jamerson, do check out the video I did on him on 5 of his bass lines. 5 of my favourites, I'd say. Anyway, let's move on to the next song. Can you believe I forgot the Santa hat in the last part? So, moving on to, I'd say, my favourite Christmas song. There aren't many. I wouldn't say I'm generally a fan of the genre, but I'd say, yeah, this is up there as potentially my favourite. And yeah, it's a really fun bass part. The interesting fact about this one is that not a bass guitar, recorded by Donny Hathaway himself on a Fender Rhodes bass, which is like a scaled down version of a Fender Rhodes and just the lower register. Doesn't quite sound like a bass. I've just gone with the P bass for this one just because, you know, it's pretty neutral. And yeah, interesting thing about this one as well, lots of interesting things about this one, is the changing time signature. So going between 4/4 and 3/4 in the intro, and the changes are very, very hip, very out there. Anyway, let's break down, first of all, this intro. 3, 4. Two. Yeah, a bit of a roast. Those first 4 chords, which are really crammed into the start of the bar, I really struggled to hear the root notes initially. But yeah, it's some very jazzy sort of movement in parallel fourths. B flat to E flat, A minor to D minor. And then we're in the key of F, by the way. And so far, yeah, well, 3 out of those 4 chords are in the key of F, but yeah, it's still very out there. A flat major 9 to B flat major 7. Oh, I've noticed a mistake in my transcription. Okay, see if you can spot it. That should be an E flat going into the F add 9. Oh well, too late to change it now. I will change it in the actual uploaded version. Anyway, so yeah, the real tricky thing is the timing. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But you do get used to it eventually, and because it's a thing that everyone is playing, it does start to stick. Yeah, and yeah, just what a ballsy thing to do with your Christmas song. I am finding there is a common theme with all of these Christmas songs in that they're all very strange, like very strange compositions, lots of changing time signature, lots of interesting harmony. And yeah, it just seems to be something particular to the genre. Anyway, before I start going on too long about the uniqueness of Christmas songs, let's break down the verse. Thankfully, pretty straightforward. It gets a little more out there in the pre-chorus. But verse, let's hear that. 3, 4. Nice. Yeah. This is where you start to find some of the note choices are a little bit awkward on a bass guitar, but they make more sense on a keyboard, particularly that last bar. It's not too bad, but it's just not quite natural for a bass guitar. Okay, so pre-chorus, this bit is one of my favourite parts, just because it's got this really tasty thing in the second bar. 3, 4. Yeah, so D9, classic. And yeah, he does variations of that. I think think there's something like that later on. But basically, I'm just trying to do a very brief overview of, the kind of thing you can play in this song. If you are looking for a full transcription, by the way, I would heartily recommend the one over on freebasstranscriptions.com. Tom Kenrick does an amazing job transcribing stuff, and would recommend his version. Let's look at that chorus. 3, 4. At this point, that last bar, the rhythm, it gets a little bit muddy in the recording, so take that bit with a pinch of salt. But you can definitely hear some very choice notes, and again, the harmony gets very, very out there in this section, because we're in the key of F, but straight away non-diatonic stuff going on, and I'm sorry to use C flat, but it just makes more sense for the enharmonics. So down a tritone, and then I love this bit here, and this is again, I think, an example of something that isn't natural to the bass, but just that repeating that A on the top to move down from that D minor into a B diminished, and then a B7, but with that same interval, making it a sharp 11. Woof. Then we're back into the tag, which is the same thing as the intro, but just shorter. And that basically covers this song. Not in huge amounts of detail. I could spend forever breaking down the harmony and other parts, but we need to move on. So we're going to. But hope you enjoy this one as much as I do. So as we're going chronologically, we're into somewhere in the mid-70s now. If you're not from the UK, this song might not be that familiar to you. Obviously, you'll probably have heard of Elton John. We'll see. Let me know if you've heard this one before, if you're from outside the UK. Presumably this one is played by Dee Murray. It's actually quite hard to find liner notes that show anything about this, but he was Elton John's longtime bass player, and it sounds like him to my ears. Also change of bass. Got the mid-70s bass, which is strung with flats. Sounds a bit like a jazz bass with both the pickups on. It's a Heyman 4040. I've done other videos breaking down this one if you want to look it up. Anyway, so let's start with that intro part. So we come in after the guitar does a few bars on its own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And hopefully you'll stick the landing and not do what I did there. I'm pretty sure I can hear an open D and then a fretted D on the A string. I'm not really sold on exactly where to play this on the fretboard, so try a few different places. I was trying to experiment with maybe around there, hitting the high D, or maybe, but the one bit I am sold on is that bit being on the D string. But try it in a few different places. This one is fairly straightforward in the verse. The only thing I would say to watch out for is obviously, more weird, basically, bars where we're not in 4/4 and then we're back to 4/4 again. And also, if you're not aware of the song, do check it out, because it has the most brazen opening lyric, "Welcome to my Christmas song." Anyway, let's look at the bass part. So 3, 4. Yeah. The only thing to listen out for is that 2/4 bar, really. But as far as changing time signatures go, it's, it could be trickier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah. Bars of 2 are easy to deal with. It's bars of 3, which happen in a few of these songs, which are a little more tricky. And yeah, a repeat of that unison riff from earlier on, but down the octave, so you might need to play it in a slightly different way. Again, you could play it like that, wherever it feels most comfortable. It's a slightly awkward one. So, pre-chorus, 3, 4. Nothing too tricky, just the odd sort of like dotted 8th note followed by a 16th note. But yeah, nothing too tricky going on there. The chorus is where the fun really happens. So, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, let's just do those last 4 bars of the chorus again. So, yeah, really fun unison riff at the end there. And again, you don't have to play it where I've suggested in the tab. It could be maybe not all the way down in that one position, but could be something like that, Experiment with these things. Anyway, there is another verse, but yeah, let's move on. Okay, on to the 80s now. And this is a song that I feel like the bass part and the horn part are definitely the most interesting things about it, in my opinion. And it's a really, really cool bass part that I've always wanted to take down properly, so I'm glad I have for this. And didn't realise until I was looking up who played it that it's by a female bass player called Tracy Wormworth, who also played for the B-52s. Cool little fact. By the way, P-bass with rounds, I believe, for this one. Sounds about right to me. Anyway, some really nice stuff in the intro, sort of counter melody to the guitar part that goes... Right, you know that bit. Let's hear that. So, 1, 2, 3. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's just do that bit one more time because bears repeating. So keep that C sharp 11th fret on the D string ringing out while you play that open A, right? And yeah, it's just a nice little sort of A major 7 arpeggio kind of stuff. So yeah, make sure you know your arpeggios, guys. The rest of the intro isn't too bad. There's just a bit of intense counting to do. So that bar of 3/4 is where the and that last note is beat 1, so it's 1, right? That's beat 1 of the next bar. Okay, so far so straightforward-ish for a Christmas song, but then we get into this verse part, which is a bit of a roast. So I've got a theory, right? So this was This came out in, I think, early 80s, I want to say. I'm not bothering to look stuff up right now. Let me know if you know what year it is. I think it's 1980. It's about right for the genre that the Waitresses were, which is kind of like new wave. Yeah, new wave. Anyway, I've got a theory that they wanted to do a Christmas song that was inspired but not close enough to Rapper's Delight, which would have been, a sample of Good Times by Chic. It's got a similar movement up and down. I don't know if you'd agree, like that. There's some vague similarities. It's not in the same sort of key, and it's also more major and Mixolydian, whereas Good Times is a very clear sort of E Dorian. Slight detour. Anyway. Yeah, a little bit of a roast, but at least the pattern for if you're thinking of it as a sort of 2-bar pattern, the first 2 bars and then the middle 2 bars are the same. Okay, it's just the second pattern and then the last pattern which are different. But yeah, one of those ones that once you get it down, it's quite straightforward. What I will point out is the trills. Yeah, they're quite interesting. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. It could even be, but I'm pretty sure she's just playing semitones in both cases. So yeah, F sharp to G natural and E to F, which in this context is quite weird, but because it's fast, doesn't matter too much. Okay, and then we get into the end of the verse into what I'm calling like a sort of tag, okay? Because it's not a real chorus because, I don't know, there's no singing, right? It's just that horn line. Anyway, the last bar of the verse, just the same walk up that we've been doing all the way through. And then, yeah, this unison line. And that's a bar of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then, that's so hard to do. But yeah, just learn it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Nice little fill going into the bridge in this case, because obviously I'm just abridging the songs. So this bridge part is really, again, quite fun. Again, quite rhythmically complicated, lots of syncopation, but not quite as complicated as the verse at least. 3, 4. Okay, yeah, so at least there's some similarities there. And the last few times, 3, 4. Yeah, bit of a roast, but one of those ones that you can ease into, and yeah, some sort of optional sort of variations, but it is more or less the same pattern each time. There is some interesting syncopation. 1 A and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4. But yeah, you've got a few fun moments that are kind of unison moments with the rest of the band. And yeah, again, another bar of 2. To get us into this bit, which I'm pretty sure is played with octaves, double stops. If you disagree, let me know. I feel like there are parts of this where it's maybe played with an octave pedal, but I don't know if whether octave pedals were in use that heavily at that time. I don't know. Or it could just be some sort of lower harmonics that are just coming through. There is one more bit to look at, and it is this refrain part. This is the Merry Christmas, right? 3, 4. Pretty straightforward, thankfully. And then we're into the verse again. So yeah, another weird bar of 3. And so on. Yeah, a bit of a roast, but yeah, a fun one to play. And yeah, the bass part just kind of keeps things driving along. And just, if the trick with sort of bars of 3, especially, it kind of, you don't want to be counting, because then you play things badly. You kind of just want to be feeling it and just knowing there's a beat missing, you know. So where you'd normally have like another beat to just kind of like rest or whatever, you've just got you're just straight into the next bar. Yeah, that's my tiny bit of time signature advice for that one. Anyway, we're moving on to the last one for today. Last one to break down for today, and we are up to relatively close to modern day. 2015, I think. Vulfpeck, played by Joe Dart, who is a modern marvel on the bass. Another change of bass as well. I've got a Stingray strung with flats. You could also go for his signature model, which is essentially the same kind of thing, just without an EQ, just a volume knob. I love how simple it is. But yeah. Just, again, Bernard Edwards-ish sort of tone. Anyway, so this one is really groovy as hell. There are some really choice fills that I'm just going to look at in isolation. But yeah, first of all, let's just kick into the verse. By the way, as well, I am tuned down half a step, so that's E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and that's just to hit a low E flat that comes up in the bridge. But you could always just play this in standard tuning and just not hit that lower octave. But it being, in transposed to sort of D does make it a little bit easier in my head instead of being in D flat, which is one of my least favorite keys. Anyway, so here's that verse. 3, 4. Okay. Pretty straightforward, quite groovy, and then some very choice sort of Mixolydian kind of stuff going on at the end there. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. That part is quite syncopated, but hopefully if you are, listening to the song, you can hear, the left hand of the piano doing it, the kick drum pattern doing something similar as well. Let's just look at that bit at the end. So that's going up to, I'm thinking F sharp, but it's actually an F. And going up the sort of Mixolydian scale from the third, right? Okay, so know your modes, right? It's very important. Okay, let's move on to the next bit, which is, harmonically very strange. Again, using that C flat from the Mixolydian, you could call it B natural, but we're in the key of D flat, and just adding a B flat and a B into the mix means that it's enharmonically incorrect and you will get the jazz police coming after you. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm talking about. 3, 4. At least it's rhythmically quite simple. It's just got that very angular tritone thing going on. And then, yeah, slightly different at the end. And then we see a repeat of that rhythmic thing that keeps happening. So yeah, there's lots of repetition. This bit, yeah, I don't think needs too much work on it. The chorus, however, let's look at that. It's basically the same as the verse, but instead of going, we go down the octave. Yeah. Right? And then I need to turn the page. Let's just do that last time. Okay, yeah. So after the first chorus, we go into a bridge. So it's almost the same. It's that same pattern again. And instead of doing the rhythmic pattern on the A flat, we go to an F. And that gets us into the bridge. Oh, I'm having to think before I say the note names because I'm not used to transposing. Horn players, I get it. All right, so let's have a look at this bridge part. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. There's that low E flat. Good. 3, 4. Some interesting triplet stuff going on. 1, 2, and right. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1. That kind of feel going across the beat. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Anyway, let's have a look at the outro chorus, which has got some absolutely luscious fills in it. I'm just going to play like the first 4 bars, and that kind of gives you a sense of the sort of feel that he's going for in the outro. It's just very busy, but there's some sort of repeating patterns. And then I'm going to look at, you can just see at the bottom there, that really tasty feel that comes in after the first 4 bars. But anyway, 3, 4. In fact, yeah, there is a sort of fill there. And I trilled it there because that's what's written and I wasn't thinking. But I think he tends to go do that kind of bass player type trill, which, it's much more expressive. And it's just easier to do at speed somehow because you're just shaking your wrist, right? Let's now look at this really tasty fill that happens in the 5th bar of the outro. So it's 3, 4. Whew. All you need to know is basically is the pentatonic, but also the blues scale as well, the major blues, the sort of Stevie Wonder. The Sir Duke scale. But up to that point, it is just the pentatonic. I'm pretty sure he's playing the flat 7, but it's I don't know whether it's intentional. Right. But yeah, really tasty. yeah, typical Joe Dart stuff there. Anyway, that just about covers things from me today. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget you can get the backing tracks, the sort of abridged versions that I've made, the isolated bass, the PDFs of tab and notation. That's all available on my Patreon. So do go check it out. And I hope you have a great Christmas if you are watching this in Christmas 2024. Maybe you're watching this in a Christmas beyond 2024, in which case, hello and Merry Christmas. Hope you're doing well. Maybe you're watching this in June, and then in which case, also say hello. I don't know if this has been suggested to you in your algorithm in June. I don't know what to say. Not my fault. Anyway, enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.